Hello, everybody. Calling the meeting to order. And starting with the roll call, Marian Plunder present. Judy Murphy.
Here.
Megan Richards.
Here.
Nona Chiarello.
Here.
Teresa Coleman is absent.
Here, but
Oh.
by Zoom.
Thank you. Sarah Gilbert.
Here.
Elizabeth Lowe
Here.
is present by Zoom. This is a full house. Dieter Waltz, he was going to come, so he might be late. And Jörg Zimmermann.
Yep.
Okay. And then I would like to officially welcome our town manager, Darcy Smith. Thank you very much for joining us today. Right. Let's
I
start
don't
with.
think you called me.
Yeah.
Here.
Oh my God. What, Chris? Why are you not on there? Oh, I'm sorry. Chris Morris.
Right here.
I jumped from Eliza. Good for speaking up. Okay, let's start with oral communications on the committee side here. Anybody wants to bring anything up that is not on the agenda? Nothing from our side. Let's have a look if there is a hand up. Nope, no hand up. So then let's move on to the first point of order, approval of minutes. So did everybody have a chance to look at them? Anybody here who has?
Everybody should have looked at them before we arrived at the meeting, ideally.
Well, that's expected. That's why I'm asking. So if you don't have any changes, Teresa has a change, and that's the following. The minutes said the subcommittee, it's point 5A, 5AIC. The subcommittee has not edited the definition of horse fences. It should say the committee has edited the definition of horse fences. And if you had a chance to look at your attachment where we now have the codes, and at the first page, we have the summary, the executive summary, and the 6 changes. It actually says in there, horse fence edited. So we will add the edit to the minutes, and it's also in the paperwork. Thank you, Teresa, for catching that. Okay.
So Marianne, the issue there is, as it has been, that it's inappropriate to make a global change to the horse fence. But I realize that can't be reflected in the minutes, but I just want to be clear. That is my issue, not in the required yard area, but global change.
And I thought that we didn't change the definition of horse fence. We merely added a line that said, in the required yards, the horse fences must be wildlife friendly.
Yeah. So
we did
so
not
we didn't
change,
edit.
we did not change the meaning or the definition of horse fence.
That's correct. However, Teresa is right. By adding the definition of wildlife friendly to the horse fence definition, we are changing the definition to the height at the bottom, or what? Yeah, the gap. The gap. So that is correct. That is the change. Okay. Okay. All right. So that is duly noted. And Dieter. Welcome, Dieter. Dieter, do you possibly have any changes to the minutes?
No, because I wasn't here last time.
Good. Okay. Moving rapidly along. Thank you, Dieter. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes? So moved. Second. All in favor? Aye. Minutes are approved. And we have, Teresa needs to abstain because she can't vote on Zoom. To just be specific for the minutes, we have on the screen, on Zoom, Rebecca Flynn is on Zoom, Eliza, we already know, and David Cardinal is on Zoom. All right, so let's get to business. Let's start with the first item, the committee presentation to Town Council. As we know, the date is 3/11. So first of all, I would really thank the committee. When we look at the presentation, the committee has done so much last year. So thank you very much to everybody. I think everybody can be really proud for what has been done. So, and then as we have new members, so the idea of the annual presentation to the town council is the opportunity for the committee to present what we have done and to talk about the goals and see if there is alignment, ask maybe for help or support, and then go our merry way for the fiscal year. So as everybody has seen this presentation, how would you like to do this? Would you like to go slide by slide, or should I just ask you if anybody has some ideas? Because I think if we go slide by slide, we'll sit here until 10 o'clock at night. So maybe I'll just go from one person to the next and we'll go. So let's start with Nona.
I think it looks great. I would make two suggestions. One is the font should be bigger so that everybody who's in the room can see it when it's on the screen. And then there's some word changes or typos that I would like to suggest, but I don't know if you want me to go through them all.
Send me the typos and, wording. Yeah.
Okay.
Content. Content is the important thing.
All minor points.
Okay. But make sure to send them to me tonight. Okay. All right. Perfect. Thank you, Nona. Let's move rapidly along with Megan.
Nothing to add from me.
Okay. Yogi?
Very good. Also note what I noted.
Okay. Judy? Okay.
Judy, could you please turn on your microphone?
Judy, they can't hear you.
Adding something about the budget to it, and we're not in a position to be specific at this point. We usually do that, in the budget submission time, and it's usually quite minimal. But would something like this requires no funds, or this might require a few $100s, that would suffice, and I assume that council would appreciate having that info.
What did other committee? Have the other committees? Oh, Rebecca. Thank you. Thank you so much. I thought I had already. There you are. You can do this yourself, right? Okay, Rebecca.
Well, we've only heard a couple of the talks so far, I think. And I don't remember whether they provided budget. I would say that you should kind of give a sense of your budget, at least based on what you asked for last year, just so that we do have a sense, because we are going to be going into priority setting in 2 weeks. So I feel like we should kind of get a sense. Darcy would have to say, but we're kind of, I get the impression that finance is starting to kind of move the schedule up a little bit in terms of priority setting, and then hearing about revenues and hearing about expenses. I get the feeling we're kind of moving all the dates for that up a little bit earlier than we used to do it, which is what I favor. So the more information we have about your goals and what they might cost the town would be important to add in there. So if that is information you have available, at a minimum, just, kind of follow up with what you did last year. If it's going to be similar, that would be helpful.
Yeah. Thank you. Actually, what I would like to recommend is that, if that is okay with the town council, that in the April meeting, we look at the budget, and then we submit that to the council as an addendum or something, because then we have thought it through rather than quickie thinking of some possible numbers. Is that okay? April 4th?
Darcy, what is your date for, and Tony's date for having committees submit their budgets?
Darcy Smith, town manager. I wish I knew the date. I don't have it. But
I cued Rebecca because we had talked about your presentation, and it would be nice to know a little bit about budget, even if it's, hey, it'll probably be the same as last year, or hey, we have an idea, like, I don't know if this April's Native Plant Month has spurred some creative thinking around different ideas you could do, and that might require a little more budget. I think right now is the time to plant a seed, as they would say, no pun intended, of, is it status quo, or do you have some new ideas that might require some funding?
Okay, we'll try to do that. And then, so it's a sort of a quick and dirty, and then in the April meeting, and then we can follow up. Because historically, Darcy, what was requested from us that by the end of May, we put the budget together. So you obviously now want it earlier, and that's perfectly fine. We'll be happy to do that. Okay, so now, if that answers that, Chris?
Yeah, so I also think it looks great. I have a few kind of tactical feedback. One, hygiene, kind of tailing on maybe the format at the front. I think the work we accomplished, which was, well, you accomplished, I wasn't here yet. We should align maybe that with the last fiscal year and the ask with the things we're going to do for the next fiscal year, because I think all of this is geared around the town's fiscal years, right? From
No, we're going a calendar year.
oh, that's what the handbook says.
Well,
Okay,
The
so we
budget,
don't work that way. That's fine.
our budget's fiscal, but our
the budget is
reports are
fiscal.
annual.
It's
The work is.
most
annual.
minor point. The second thing that I think for clarity is I was reading it. I noticed we took our mission and kind of split it in half, but the part we omitted really is the sentence of the 25-26 goals around the protection of native habitat. And then the first focus is the second part, which is preserve the natural condition of the area. So I'm wondering if maybe we can just put the mission and then shift to the 26-27 objectives, because we only really have 4 areas, and to have like 4 focus points that don't align with those areas doesn't make much sense.
Could you send me the suggestion for that
Sure.
slide tonight?
Absolutely.
Then I understand, because it's not completely clear.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Most of it is around, they kind of read as initiatives anyway, even when you get past that. And so since our actual proposals for the work in 26-27 don't, 2 of them align with it, but the other 2 don't, maybe just have the mission and then get right into the work, right?
Okay, okay. So send me your, then I'll work it in.
Absolutely. And then the only other comment I have that wasn't covered is, while it's a little unclear in terms of the measurement of what they say, it does feel to me a little bit like that we are substituting the work for what we're trying to accomplish. And so it's difficult to measure, right? So our measurement basically is, did we do it? Like, did we make a document? Did we go to this thing? Did we do whatever? But we can't really tell if we did a good job of it or actually moving the needle. And I don't want to turn this into a long meeting, but that's the one thing I observed. And I'm in that vein, I'm wondering if the 2 things that appear to be undermined, if there's a way to phrase them that gives me a little more room, maybe create them in a way that does focus more outcome driven, as opposed to like,
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. The thing is, you are going to be on the agenda next month.
okay,
And we'll definitely discuss that, and it's very important. I'm not sure, as we have not as a committee talked about, of course, we want to improve. I'm not sure how I would
that's
work
fine.
this.
So I guess my
Okay.
question then is like, having not gone through this process, because I only read the handbook, so I'm going by what the handbook said, and so maybe that's just not the way we really do it. And so if it's not, I just want to know, like, am I locked into the things that go into? Okay, then it looks great.
Thank you. Okay, and then Sarah?
Yeah, I think it looks great too. I had just some kind of minor, I was struck by the heading hiring
Yeah, if you have a better word.
membership.
Membership. Thank you. Because I knew the word hiring sounded so harsh, particularly as nobody gets paid here.
Yeah, I don't think I'm getting paid for this. And misspelling of almanac, but I think. that
Yeah,
was-
I'm aware of that. Thank you very much. Yes, yes. Okay, Dieter?
Fine with me.
Okay, all right. With working this in, which is really easy to do. Oh, let me see if there's anybody on the. I don't see, oh, yes, Rebecca.
Well, I guess my only comment, I mean, it looks good. My only comment is when you do actually give the presentation, if each of these is a slide, the way you've presented it, yeah, I think bigger text would probably make it a little easier for people to see because it's very text heavy. I guess my other point is, if you're planning to make some kind of larger changes in terms of organization that Chris is suggesting, I think you're going to need to kind of talk them out quickly because as a whole, I believe the group is planning to vote on approving this presentation. So if there's going to be major changes that aren't typo related, I think you're going to have to kind of get a better sense of the ideas Chris suggested in terms of organizing your goals versus how you present it. So that would be my only suggestion, is you talk that out a little bit so people know what they're voting on.
So Chris, could we leave it?
I'll explain, 'cause I don't think it's a major change.
Yeah.
Basically is around the first slide.
Hold on.
The mission actually is like two paragraphs. One is sort of the top of the part, the second is the two ways to execute. We omitted the second paragraph and we basically turned it into the top line. The Conservation Committee is protecting native habitat, which is part of it. And then the first focus, which is preserving natural conditions, is the second sentence in that. But I think if we just put the full mission, then we probably don't even need to put a focus in it, because you only have 4 areas anyway.
So you're suggesting we should take it out completely?
Put the mission on there and it covers the stuff. Because I don't think we're focused.
Marianne, when we did this, you were trying to make bullets and sort of outline what was in it. But in fact, Chris's point, I think, is that what's there as sort of bullets is the second half of the mission statement as it already exists. And we could just put the mission statement as it exists, correct? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
And then we have a mission statement.
Yeah, okay, maybe I'll explain what I meant and then maybe you can feed me some wording. So the mission statement, everybody knows our mission statement. It's a long sentence and it has been there since 1964. And so what my idea was to, at the very beginning, set the stage for the town council that what we have been doing in 2025 and what we will be continuing is the protection of native habitat. We have never worded it that way officially. So my intention is not to add anything. It's just to change the wording from tranquil and family oriented to add the word wildlife friendly. So that's the thought behind it.
The part that you took away, it says, the committee does this by promoting programs to enhance the environment through the protection of native habitat. And the next line says, by helping to ensure that all land development respects and preserves the natural condition of the area, which are basically those 2 lines you have. And so I'm wondering, why not just put the mission on there?
Take it out?
If it's meaningful to you, it's fine.
It's meaningful
I
to
found it
me.
confusing because it didn't really focus and it chunked off part of the mission, but if it's clear to everybody else, I'm fine letting it go.
It seemed to be clear to everybody else, so.
Okay.
I don't want to have a.
I agree with Chris, and I would just say, I don't know how to raise my hand. That somehow Zoom has changed, Marianne, but we worked on that mission statement not even 3 years ago. There was a subcommittee that went through the mission statement and what our priorities were as a committee. And I am a little concerned that you're switching that to reflect what you see as 2026 goals as versus, if I am understanding correctly, I'm sorry, Chris, it's a little hard to hear you. The microphone's not picking you up well, but as versus what we agreed as a subcommittee and brought to the full committee and had approved as our revised mission statement and priorities. And
Okay,
that was just a couple years
Good.
ago.
I have an idea. What if we shorten it? The thing is, I want to set, we have been the whole committee has been, the subcommittee and have been working 2025. Subcommittee alone has probably put in 100 hours into the wildlife-friendly fence ordinance. And the word wildlife-friendly is not in the mission statement. So my simple intention was to mention this upfront, the wildlife friendly aspect. And maybe, Chris, maybe it would be sufficient to say the 2025, 2026 focus of the conservation is to protect the protection of native habitat. And then maybe one sentence. And what I would like to say is influenced by increased housing development requirements and AB 1889, because that is very important.
I'm all for the focus part. Like if it was me, I think I would just have the mission statement and then say, because of that, we're focusing on wildlife friendly, because basically two good things are that, wildlife corridors and wildlife friendly fencing. Just say that's a focus for us.
Okay. So I'll just cut it
Yeah,
down.
I mean, if it makes
Okay.
sense, again, I'm just providing feedback. If
Okay.
whatever makes sense to the
Okay.
group.
Okay.
So Marianne, I think that in the beginning, I mean, we've done this as traditionally it's been done, basically. And so you have the mission statement, and then you go through the accomplishments. So 2025 is the accomplishments.
Right.
And then 2026 is the focus,
Right.
And so if instead of having the introduction be just the mission statement that we already have and worked hard on, you segue directly into 2025 accomplishments. And then you do it down when you go to 2026 and our goals and priorities. Maybe under that, you could have this overview, this statement that you have here could be moved there. You'd take out the 2025, but you'd say the 2026 focus of the Conservation Committee is, and then influenced by, it's the
Okay.
whole second half of that first page. So the first page would be the mission statement.
Yeah.
And then the rest of that language, intact as you have it, can be the introduction to our 2026 goals.
Okay. I'm fine with that. And that's fine if you feel that
I
way.
think, no,
That-
I think that's what you were trying to do. You were
No,
just
no,
talking
that's
that
not
you
what I
were
was trying to do.
Well, you were
I-
doing the headliners, and this is what the talk's going to be about.
I wanted to set the high level stage why we have these achievements in 2025 with so much time on the fence permit. That you see, that's where I'm coming from. And so if that is now missing, and I can take it out, but that was my rationale, because then we're going to what we have done. And clearly we have spent a lot of time on the wildlife friendly, the habitat preservation, the corridor aspect. And that's why I wanted the high level center. Maybe, what if I make 2 slides of this? The mission statement and that thing.
I think
I like
it
that.
already, it has its own slide. The wildlife friendly effort has its own slide. And I think in the spirit of reducing text,
Yeah.
and getting people to focus on what's on there, say it once and enlarge it. Make a point of it once you get to it. And maybe the introduction isn't as critical.
Okay, where would that be?
It's our number 6. The slide already exists.
Okay, number 6. Okay, I will do that then. And then everybody's happy. That's perfectly fine with me. Maybe I was just too focused. Okay, so then with that, we should have no problem to approve that, because we're just shifting something around.
Marianne, I'm sorry, can I ask one more question?
Sure.
Which is that you seem to be referencing a lot of attachments in those slides. Was I misreading them or not?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So what I'm doing, that's why I need all the changes tonight. Tomorrow at 1:00 is the deadline to put the presentation into the agenda packet for the town council. And what I didn't call them addendum, I call them whatever, something else, exhibits. So these are public documents. So for example, 1 exhibit or 3 exhibits are the reports we did for Darcy on the open space maintenance or and that was a lot of work. And as background information, I suggest that we include that in the package. Some town council members know about it, they won't even read it, but there are newer council members and they might be actually very interested. So it's just for information only, and there is nothing new. This is information they have. Rebecca, do you?
It fleshes out the slides. It's, it's information. You didn't want to put a lot of detail in the slides.
Right. right.
So it's,
Yeah.
it's there to
Yeah,
flesh it out for the council members if they want that.
because, you know, some people really like when there is background information. And if those people who don't have the time, they don't have to read it. Okay, all right. So
So
then.
I'm sorry, Marianne, one more thing about that then. What I was reading and what I thought I understood you to be putting in there were draft documents that we have not ratified yet and we have not come to agreement on. I may have misunderstood. And if I did, I apologize for that, but I am very opposed to including in any presentation to the town council about our accomplishments and our goals, areas in which we are not in alignment as a committee as of this moment today, right now, period. So if I've misunderstood, I apologize.
Yeah.
If I have not misunderstood, please understand, I am very opposed to including something that is draft and not yet ratified and agreed upon by the committee.
So there are two documents that are draft documents. One is the code regulation, and that document is as a draft form approved by the committee, and we have already moved on. This is ready to go to ASCC. So that's the one
Right, it's
attachment.
ready to go to ASCC, not ready to go to town council. And I am very strongly opposed to presenting it as such.
Okay, I beg to differ, Teresa. I actually think it is very important when we submit this presentation that the town council gets an idea how many changes we are suggesting. And that's why in the agenda, in the presentation, we are talking about suggestion, draft. So it's very clear that this is our intention, and it is important. It's in my opinion, it's absolutely necessary that the council sees what our intentions are, because otherwise, how can we ask for their support?
What does Rebecca think?
I think you guys voted on it and approved
Yes.
it.
Yes,
To
we did.
Move forward. So I think it's, I mean, not everybody agreed, but you had a
Yeah.
majority approval. So in
Yeah.
my mind, it is a draft, but it's got an approval from the whole from the committee to move forward. So I think it's okay to include it as a
Okay.
background, as long as you put it down as background information or whatever, just, I think it's, for me, it's okay to include it. It is a draft. It still has to go through ASUC, et cetera, but as a committee, that is something you accomplished last year. So I think it's okay to include it as a background.
Okay, thank you.
And what were the other attachments?
Oh, yes. So thank you, Teresa. So the other document is, this is hang on, what do we call it?
The town of Portola Valley fencing
The fence
guidelines.
guidelines. So the fence guidelines will be voted today. That's why it's in the goals and not in the achievements in the presentation. And that is this document is reflective of the current fence ordinance. It has nothing to do with the proposed changes. This is on the website of the town of Woodside. We worked with them. Nona improved it and made it prettier. And it's a guide for the town residents to see in support with illustrations what a fence looks like. What we can say is if this is not approved, whenever it is item 5, then I will take it out of the presentation. Is that acceptable for everybody? Okay, so then can we vote on the presentation? If I hear
Sorry, this is Rebecca again. Did you say that there was also something about the open space and you were going to include some documents about maintenance or something too?
They are all, these documents are approved documents. They're already public knowledge. Yeah,
Right.
there's nothing.
Yeah, but you said you were going to include it in the packet. Is that?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's unchanged in the presentation. It refers to them.
Okay.
So they're in there. Teresa had a concern with the 2 draft documents. Okay. And all the other documents are in finished form and are public knowledge. So I need to add one thing. There is a page 2A at the moment, I call, or it would be page 3. Teresa, you don't have it because you're not here. It is a backup slide for AB 1889. This slide will now move because the second part of the first page is moving to 6. So I gave you a handout. You have a handout, Chris. So it says AB 1889 requires general plan updates by January 2028. And then it has 5 bullets, what needs to be done, if it's mandatory or if it is recommended. It's a backup slide only for a quick look in case a council member does not know what AB 1889 is. They have a backup slide that shows the summary, what it is. Okay. And so having mentioned that now,
I think there's one misunderstanding, which my suggestion is that not that we move the focus areas, but that they actually aren't necessary if we increase the size of the text and you use that slide number 6 to clearly state.
Oh, I see.
Get on
Yes.
wildlife.
Okay. Yes. Thank you for correcting that. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. With that, are we ready to move on? Can I hear a motion?
I can do a motion to approve, and I'll give a little summary of the edits we have here. I'll make a motion to approve the slides for presentation to council with minor changes to text and typos as corrected by Nona, with the addition of budget implications to the slides for reference, with the removal of the focus areas statement from the first slide, additional text corrections proposed by Sarah Gilbert, and I believe that is it. Did I miss anything?
I think there was also that under mission statement, we put the whole mission statement.
Is there a part missing? Oh, thank you. Thank you, Judy. That's good. Okay, can I hear a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Thank you. Motion carries. Right. Now, where are we? So the subcommittee assignment, hang on, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Give me 1 second. I've got to get organized. There we go. I have a comment to the subcommittee assignments. We have a new subcommittee that Chris is heading it up with Teresa, Nona, and Judy. And it's the subcommittee that will work. Chris has done some work on a proposal for, I'll just keep it really simple, for community feedback. And that will be on the April agenda. And Chris is going to give a presentation, and we will put aside a good chunk of that agenda so we have time to digest and to discuss and decide. And so that's a new subcommittee so that you're in the picture. Then let's move on to old business. The draft regulations for the ASCC, the attachment B is in there. As we said, the document is approved, but we have added the 1-pager, which I think is a very nice pager. Thank you to the subcommittee that gives the executive summary. And then it shows that we made actually 6 changes. 5 of them are edits, 1 is an addition, and that is for easy reading. And I think the town council will be very happy to have that in the front. So that's for information only. Then the next thing is what Teresa, oh, you have a comment. I'm sorry. Yes, absolutely.
I noticed that there's one error in the table that's in the fence ordinance regulations. In the first column, bottom row, and it should say minimum parcel area greater than or equal to 2 acres rather than greater than. Just got to get this. I think in the original fence regulations summary table, it says 2+. So it can either be 2+ or greater than or or equal to 2.
And the table, okay.
Yeah, so it's right here. This, right there.
Equal. I will add the equal, that it's, no,
Yeah,
no,
Okay,
yeah.
greater than or equal to.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. That's.
okay, I will make that change.
I've
That's
used
easy
that
to do.
So many times, but it took one last time
Yeah.
to catch it.
It was actually, although it was a lot of work, it was very interesting to do that, to look through that municipal code and through some of the contradictions. And it was interesting. We learned a lot. Probably we'll forget it very quickly though. Okay, so that's for that. Where am I?
And now.
Now we're going to the draft guideline. Nona, do you want to say anything to the document or, I mean, we just made it prettier. It's a document that Nancy Ryering did, and she did a really good job. And then somebody on the staff of the town of Woodside did the illustrations. And Nona took it and formatted it and took out all the comments that were Woodside specific.
Judy and I did that.
Judy, oh,
together.
sorry, Judy, of course, I forgot about, yes. And so I think it's now in a very nice, pleasant form that supports the existing fence ordinance. And when residents are going out and want to build a fence, they can go to the website and have a look. So do we want to have a motion to approve the draft? Because down the road, this might change. So this is just a draft, and that's how it's defined in the presentation for the
Can
town
I
council.
say one thing
Yes.
before we vote, just to, as an explanation? This is not keyed off the ordinance. It didn't grow out of the ordinance per se. It's an illustration of the many kinds of lovely fences one can have adhering to the new ordinance.
To the ordinance, to the existing ordinance, That is important, that differentiation.
Are there illustrations in here that don't?
We on purpose didn't want to
Yeah,
key
okay.
it because we haven't
Okay.
approved it.
No, I understand.
So it talks about things that would be desirable rather than.
Desirable.
required.
That's
Right.
what we're saying, desirable. So it's a nudge for residents if they so inclined to see, oh, that's what it looks like. Oh, this is a good looking fence. Why don't I build that rather than,
Right.
yeah. Okay. So any other comments? Yes.
I was wondering, so since this is a draft, and I believe you were going to put this as an attachment or, into the packet.
Yes.
Maybe it should clearly say it's a draft.
Yes, yeah, okay. Thank you. The file name says draft. Very good point. I will add that in the heading. Yeah, thank you very much. It's always good to have those members who are very sharp on the details.
No, I think it's very attractive, and it's great to have examples.
Okay,
I think that in the introduction, at the top line of it, it says fencing guidelines. In the agenda, you call it draft guidelines to wildlife fencing. And I think we have to be careful not to start out labeling anything guidelines too, because the town has already official, design guidelines, and we don't want to look like we're adding to that or changing that or, imposing on that.
So-
So it's just, fencing guidelines is fine. I'm not opposed to the word guidelines, just I don't think it should be at the beginning of anything.
and how do you want it changed, the headline?
It's how it was called in the agenda that I'm just calling your attention to.
Oh,
So
I see.
what you have
Okay.
on the slide is perfect.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so can I hear a motion to approve the draft?
I move that we approve this gorgeous illustrated draft of appropriate Portola Valley fencing.
Okay, a second? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Okay. Update meeting with planning director. Judy, your turn.
Be super brief. Mary and I met with our new, no longer brand new, planning director, Sarah Course. Is that how you say your last name, Course? We basically informed her about our role, offered to help with anything we could, and talked about sort of a few things in general. she's making an attempt to be much more rigorously linear with things. You know, we all know how informal things have been. Just called the culture of the town's been much more informal than it's going to be, and we need to get our heads around that and fit into that somehow. But she was, you know, her background's great. She's grew up rurally. I think his background in landscape architecture, is that right? Yeah, that's what I thought, yeah. So she understands where we're coming from in a way that many of the other planning directors didn't have a clue. They, you know, they stopped at the edges of the building, maybe thought about the fences and had no consideration much for the land itself. So we were very happy to meet with her. It was gracious of her to spend the time with us.
Okay, thank you for that update. Next up, Teresa, update on. Next, Teresa, update on Broompool. Okay, I think we lost her. Well, she's in Hawaii, so maybe she will come back. If she comes back, then we will, because I don't really know, because she's in charge. So let's move on. Hopefully she will come back. Tip of the month, Megan.
Yes, I am planning to draft a tip of the month about local nesting birds, some of the common species, where they might be nesting, how to protect their nests. And I would be very interested in any photos anyone might have of birds' nests. I have only one, and it is not very good.
I have a question that might not fit. I have pictures of birdhouses with birds, because that's what they do at the moment. They're nest, you know, they're going in and putting stuff. So would that be helpful?
If it's actually using the box, then yeah.
Yeah, they're using the box. Okay, I can give you that. And then you decide if you can use it. It's a something Hewitt, or whatever, wren, and a bluebird. But the bluebird will be difficult to take a photo. Okay. All right. What's blooming now, Nona?
I'm open to suggestions. I was thinking about Ceanothus or Houndstone or some of the things that we're really seeing a lot of. But the reason why I'm kind of open to suggestions or debating is that there are really two ways to think about this. One is, what do people see on the trails, right, that's flowering? And what should people consider planting in their yards that would be flowering now? And there have been a number of, exchanges on forum and other places. People care a lot about what they plant in their yards. And it seems to me that there's a reason to promote planting natives. But on the other hand, we want people to be outside looking at things too. So we could do multiple things. I don't know. Should we alternate from one month to the next, going,
As I remember when we started, the point of it was to highlight natives blooming that were accessible, that people could put in their yards,
yeah.
that we know are available locally, in the wider local sense at a native plant nursery, things that do well here, et cetera. And then because we're so also interested in what's on the trails, we've sort of morphed into that sometimes. And maybe you could make it a twofer where the main thing could be, and I think it would be good if you specifically said, this is blooming now, here's a da-da-da-da about it. This could do well in your garden.
Yeah. Well, something like Ceanothus. There
Right.
aren't that many trails that have Ceanothus blooming.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
And so,
And then
where you see it is in people's yards.
Right. And then maybe down at the bottom, you could put, you could have a little in italics or something, about what's blooming on the trails and is spectacular right now is X. So
Yeah.
it was sort of a 2/3, 1/3 thing.
Yeah.
My
Could I-
one addition to that is that a number of us have things appearing in our yards of their own volition that might also be on a trail. And it might be nice for some people to know if it's native or not. They may not know that. So I think there is some overlap of,
Yeah.
yes, you can buy it in a store, or it might just volunteer, and then you know what you're looking at and might want to protect it.
Like, for example, I have a lot of houndstong in my backyard, but I never planted that. I just make sure that I weed whack or some in my garden, I weed whacks around. So you couldn't, I could give people seeds, but you can't really go into the nursery, I think, and buy houndstong.
You can buy seeds from Larner's,
You
but
can, okay.
yeah. So the message I'm getting is to try and do both.
Yeah, I think
Well, why don't you
both
start
would be
with
nice.
ceanothus, which you can find, there's a florist blooming on Toyon Trail.
Yeah.
and Some good local or good varieties that work locally.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I have one, but it's not showy. It's not good enough for photo. Okay.
So we got that?
Could I ask a question?
Yes, please.
So
Rebecca.
I've seen a bunch of, like sort of the wildflowers with big purple sort of stalky flowers. What are those? They're not so tall. They're only maybe 6 inches, 7 inches tall, but they're purple. Like they look a little bit like butterfly sage, but they're smaller. And,
Lupin, probably.
Lupin.
Lupins, yeah. There are a lot
well,
of
they're
lupins.
they're pinkish purple.
That could be lupins.
Might they be houndstong? Is she talking about houndstong?
No, no, they
I don't know what
Could-
house looks like. So
You have a photo you
I've
could
seen
send
a
me?
lupin or two blooming,
Yeah, I have seen lupin, but not many.
not many.
There's a really nice stand of lupins, a really beautiful patch on Arrestra de Oro Preserve.
well, if I see it again, I'll take a picture and send it.
Yeah, okay. One thing that went through my mind today when I walked, the oxalis. So the oxalis is blooming at the moment. And in those meadows, it's light, in some of them, it's light yellow, looks gorgeous. And I wonder if maybe sometime we want to, well, now we would have to, if we, and so this looks pretty, but this is highly invasive. And it might even be taken for a poppy by some people. But I don't know if that fits into there is something blooming right now which is really bad. And people might not know it and might even think it's really pretty and let it go to seed.
Yeah, that's sort of like the friend or foe that you did.
Yeah, we could do oxalis every month if you let me, but it actually is not, supposedly it's not really spread from seed, kind of past the main point where you get the best control of it. So I think we make a priority in November again.
Okay. And maybe next year for blooming so that people, we can put pictures in. We can do in November. That's what it looks like when it's in bloom. Okay, thank you.
Might also think about one suggestion was, what's garden versus trail. The other could be what's blooming good and bad down the bottom, bad, good and bad.
Yeah, and garden versus trail is also no water. The stuff that's on the trail gets zero water. I mean, some of the stuff in the garden, my ceanothus at some point in time actually likes a little bit of water.
So
Depends.
Nona asked us for focus and we gave her 4 things to do. Do you have the capacity to do all of those?
What is?
Okay, moving rapidly along.
I
uh,
wonder,
oh,
quickly,
Dieter?
point out 2 plants that are absolutely spectacular this year. One is the bush poppy, Dendromicon, both kinds, the Hartfordia and the rigidus, absolutely stunning, better than in years. And the other one is the western redbud, which is just, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much so Nona, you have plenty to think about. Then Nona, if you can give us maybe a combined update on what we have been doing with the Corte Madera school.
For the school?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
because last month we jumped over it because we ran out of time. And in the meantime, we have met and done more, I think.
Yeah, okay. So on February 19th, Marianne, Sarah, and I met with Jeff Miller, who is the maintenance and management, facilities and maintenance manager for the PV school district. This was a follow-up meeting to the meeting that we had with the superintendent and others about the herbicide that had been used on Corte Madera School, and our agreement to kind of coordinate and see where we could come on to kind of common ground. So we did a walkthrough of the Corte Madera campus, and we focused on three things. One was biocides. The takeaway on that is that the schools have the same problems as all of the houses, and that includes, invasive weeds, rodents chewing wires in engines, and also gopher damage. And they strongly agree with us that biocides are not desirable, but they're also really cost constrained, and their primary focus is the safety of the kids. So they feel that there may be circumstances where they need to use herbicide, but they're going to try and avoid it as much as possible. We looked at the areas where they might be using them. They're small, they're pretty much inaccessible. So, what we agreed is that we would provide information when we had it to make it easy to make those choices. And the one that they're using now, or did use, is for the rodents in engines, is basically vitamin D3, cholecalciferol. It's the best recommended rodenticide to use now, if that's the way you're going to go. We encourage them to just open the hoods on their cars, but this seemed to be the approach that they wanted to use. Okay. The second aspect that we talked about was town-school coordination. And the schools are very clear that they want to be neighborhood friendly. They open the campuses on weekends so that people go in. And, in general, they want to sort of get feedback from the community when they need it. There are problems, though. It's more complicated than you might think. There's a problem that people bring their dogs in when the fields are very wet and the dogs do damage to the fields. They've also tried to work on the fence that's outside the new gigantic fence, and to try and sort of foster more cooperation with the town. Turned out that that fence is impossible to remove, and they damaged equipment doing it. So they haven't really given up, but there's more work to be done. And in general, one of the ways that they'd like to approach weeds is to plant ground covers. We offered to suggest something that they might test in different places, and they're not sure they're going to go that way, but the suggestion is out there. They're looking into goat grazing, which is very expensive. I don't know why they would think that would be a good alternative, but they're looking at all the options. And so as another aspect of sort of town-school coordination, we said that we could work with PV Ranch and other neighbors about whether or not how that might affect the neighborhood, either in terms of drawing in mountain lions or anything else. And then finally, we talked about sort of a grab bag of other sort of big and small sustainability issues. The biggest one probably being that the bioswale that was engineered for the school doesn't work. It doesn't have proper drainage. They also talked about having problems and getting feedback from neighbors that the lights are coming on at night sometimes. And they also mentioned that, he also mentioned that they will be replacing the soccer field at Corte Madera School and adding a track. And so for some extended period of time, the campus will be closed. Those are all really outside conservation issues, but we wanted to sort of cover the bases and see, where there were opportunities. So that's where things stand. It was a very, very good meeting, I thought.
Any comments or questions? Okay, thank you very much for that thorough update. Then we're getting to the next item, committee townwide cooperation. And what I would like to start with, Darcy, you texted me when I was on the mountain without phone that Go Native was there. Maybe you can give us a little bit update, how many days you contracted them and so on and so forth.
I wish I had that information, but I don't. I do know that when we met with Judy and Marianne, I wasn't even sure we were going to hire Go Native. I think that's what I told you was I'm not positive it got in the budget and it's kind of expensive. So I was more than delighted when the contract passed through my computer. And then, yes, I saw them out there yesterday. So that's great news. That said, I think when we met, we also discussed how important it was to get your feedback on what they do. And so when I texted you, it was to check in on them. And I just want to say that your work is invaluable in helping the town with things like this. The school project, for example, the school conversation that did come out of an inquiry from a resident who said, hey, I think the school's maybe not doing the best thing for the community. Can you go talk to them? And unfortunately, I didn't have time, but I reached out. And I'll just give two other examples of that partnership that is so valuable. I got another phone call from a community member who said, hey, I think a fence is being built over between Springdown and the Jellic Ranch. Again, I didn't have time to send out staff, or actually I could have sent them out, but to be honest, I thought of you first because I knew there was more familiarity. And the report was that they were getting into building a fence, not only in a creek, but in dusky wooded red rat habitat. So yeah, and I think you went out, Dieter, and it was cross country, and you gave me a full report, and that immensely helped then our building inspector go out and issue a stop work notice. So one more example of how you've been helpful early on. I do know that, we are trying to stick more to the code requirements and our policies around inspections, but I got an inquiry about trees on the site just adjacent to the Ladera Church, which is a site for 2 new Habitat for Humanity homes. And I'm pleased to report that the church just took a final vote after I think was many years of work to approve like a ground lease with that project with Habitat. So it's going to be moving forward. But I got a simple inquiry as to, hey, are these trees really important to the community and should we save them? So I tossed that to you guys. So I just want you to know, often I rely on you deeply and I deeply appreciate it. And Go Native's one of those things where we are not able to monitor everything they do. And if you have feedback on what they're doing or what they should be doing differently, then that would be immensely helpful.
Yeah, we would love to be involved. How can we do this that we know when they are coming? So then we can be there in the morning.
I can get that information to you.
That would be great. Yeah. And we'll be happy to do that. And yeah, we love doing the special projects. It's in the presentation because we want these projects to come, and we'll be happy. And we can respond very quickly.
Yeah, that's what I
important.
appreciate about you is that we have open lines of communication. I reach out to the chair first, but often she asks many of you to help. And I do appreciate that because often I get something that can be quite urgent and quite significant. The fence, we were fortunate, we stopped really just in time. And honestly, the school thing was also very important. I know they were incredibly appreciative for you going out and talking to them. And those connections are just really, really important to this community.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I would say that in ending, you are very well respected in the community. And I only hear really great things about how helpful you are.
Oh, we like to hear that. Thank you, Darcy. Okay, so that's that. And then open space, do you have anything to report? No? Let's see if Teresa is still not here. So there is nothing real.
I have a quickie.
You
for
have something?
I went to Nature and Science, the last
Oh.
Nature and Science. The most interesting thing was they did sort of a rehash of their January event. And it turns out that the key to the increased attendance there that they had was largely that everybody on that committee reached out to everybody on their email list. It was a very personal effort so that everybody used their entire contact list and said, come to this. So that was, times 6 people doing that as opposed to just posting something somewhere. And I think also that they included a lot of kids events. So there were kids projects there. So it became a family event, not just a people interested in wildlife event. So those were 2 keys. I talked to them about April being Native Plant Month, California Native Plant Month, and ask for their help and suggestions, and got several positive response, several suggestions, and have incorporated them into the sort of game plan for what we'll do. They're planning maybe a video contest of some kind that they started talking about doing in conjunction with in April, but they decided they couldn't do it soon enough, so probably in the fall, but that would be focused perhaps on some aspect about the native wildlife or
Great.
plants here.
The more the merrier. Okay, thank you for that. I don't think we have any other updates. EPC wasn't, and wildfire, there was nothing in the meeting. Then let's go to new business. Judy, you are up, California Native Plant Month, as you are the lead of the subcommittee.
Didn't get this done in time to get it on the agenda. So I apologize profusely for the 2 pages. My printer jammed, would not be unjammed. Decided I use my husband's old clunker that only does one side.
Oh, we can share. We can share. We can use it.
You want to see this person?
It's her plan.
Sorry, I'm supposed to talk into the microphone. At the top is just a little graph that kind of tries to keep track of things, and down below was a fleshing out of. So the main thing I need is I cannot be a one-man band here. I think a lot of these things are desirable to do, and I've put my name by a number of them and started a number of them, and I need help with some of the others. So if there's things on here that you would be happy to help with, please let me know right now. And if there are things that are not on here, that's something you would be willing to do, or you think would be a good idea if we added in, you could pick it up, then I would need, I'd appreciate that too, and I'll incorporate it into the record keeping that in the planning that we're doing. One of the things I thought was maybe, Chris, I could work a little more closely with you, since you're as interested you are in outreach and being effective, that not to necessarily do every little task, but to sort of help me with overview of how the tasks should get rolled out, or what's the best da-da-da, all that kind of stuff that you know much more about. So what I especially would like is just to have a little more information about, there aren't, Marianne, you have a native plant walk plan?
Yeah, from the walk.
And so does Nona, right? Nona, you have a Jasper Ridge one, and is that something that's kind of part of this, or is it totally independent?
So Constantine contacted me,
Mhm.
and so Catherine McGill, Paul Heipel, and I were each leading 10 people in April.
Oh, April 1, is that on April? That's the April 1 thing. Okay. So, and that is full.
It's full, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it's full, yeah.
They're already all full?
More.
So that would be the thing. Could we schedule more?
If we could
'Cause
schedule,
there's no point in publicizing it if it's full.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, it's a waste
I'll
of valuable
check
print
and see
time.
if there's-
Yeah.
When is good? I have to ask for a thought.
because if we could schedule more, then I would team up with you instead of trying to figure out going at the lower end of Windy Hill, going into Jasper Ridge.
I'll call Lucy. and
Okay,
find out.
we can work on that offline. If we could do 2 more, that would be great, and I'll be happy to be there, but obviously if you could be there, or Paul would. be
Great. So a
fine too.
lot of these things, I'm not asking us to do them now in the meeting. I'm just trying to get a sense of who will do what, so that we know what we're actually doing, rather than just fantasies about what we might do.
Judy, I think the school part looks dead to me, because I sent out emails and I didn't get a response back from
So
anybody.
I've been in contact with one of the teachers in Woodside, and they're doing things. The main thing there is that, and I've been in contact with Brooke Coffey here in our schools, and Brooke is gonna do some lesson planning around this in April, and it's not something we will
Right,
publicize,
okay.
et cetera. But we're working on getting an almanac article And that will talk about both what's happening in Woodside and what's happening in Portola Valley. So just publicizing.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Publicizing the fact that it is Native Plant Month, et cetera.
The Woodside School does paintings, right? They're going to do,
They're gonna
the
do,
kids are going
they're
to do paintings.
Fourth grade, I
Yeah.
think, is going to
Yeah.
do that.
Okay.
And
Great.
and the paintings are going to be displayed at the native plant sale that Woodside has every year. They're going to put them up around there. So I'm not proposing we do anything that organized here because I don't think, I can't take it on and nobody else is jumping up and down to do it. So those are the kinds of things I need to cross off the list. I've talked to the library, potentially in work as both a kids and an adults workshop of some kind, you know, plant a native plant, yada, da, 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 da. But the one thing they will do is the exhibit of books in the front, they will key to native plants during that April month. The Portola Valley Garden Club's going to have something that's done. I think it would have a lot of impact if we had a table at the farmer's market. It's this time of year when our table looks so fabulous, when we can gather those wildflowers and have them like we used to do at Earth Day, like the picture at the beginning of your presentation. So I would very much encourage, and if I were a different kind of person, I would find a way to lean on you to say that you will help with the table, either just one in that month, or maybe twice in that month. I think in terms of visibility and having people stop and talk and learn about it, it's
The market is from when to when? What are we talking in time frame?
it's on Thursdays from 3 to 5. Is it 2 to 5? Darcy says 3 to 5.
Do we know if there is a busier shopping, like at the end? Because 3 hours is very long to be at
Well,
the
and you
table.
wouldn't have to do the whole thing.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking.
Say the middle part, you know, the early people come and then so if it's 3 to 5, it'll still have those hours in April, right? Even though it's daylight. Then
If I get a second person,
3:30 to 4:30 is an hour.
yeah, it needs to be sort of two people. If it's
Has to
only,
be two
if it's a
people.
single person, so I would help if we have another person.
I'll do it with someone.
Okay, so Chris and I are going to schlep the stuff around.
Okay, so
Perfect.
you've got the goodies for it already, and
Yeah, I have the vases, we just need
right,
to get
and
the
you
plants.
can enlist other people to help you gather plants.
Yeah, I might go to Nona's yard and steal some stuff.
Super good.
Maybe Chris has some stuff in the yard too. Yeah. Okay, so we'll do that. And I just want to make one
Anybody else willing to do it who would do it with me on one of the other Thursdays?
I would like to add something. If you're advertising the Woodside native plant sale, we also have to advertise the plant sale at Hidden Villa, which is the California Native Plant Society, and also Grassroots.
Hidden Villa. We're not to that part on the agenda. Will you remind me when we get down to this? I'm still kind of up in the chart. Okay. The Priory.
I'm willing to do one.
Okay, so no,
Ken?
shall
At
you and I
the
do one?
Market,
Farmers Market?
yeah.
Yeah.
So Dieter, would you be available on one Wednesday afternoon to man a table at the farmer's market with flowers with Nona?
Thursday.
What did I say?
Thursday.
Thursday. Would you be available on a Thursday?
Depends on what Thursday.
In April, we would define,
Okay, let's.
okay.
Tentatively. April is, Thursday is my grandson's volleyball game.
Towards the end? How about towards the end in April?
Why don't you
Or-
guys
or
work that
We
out?
will, we'll work it out.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so now let's
Sarah,
go
can
through,
you-
pardon?
Maybe Sarah can do one.
Sarah, I'd like to.
Okay.
Wondering is, we have these nice grounds that a, Father donated is caring for. Could we have like a little brochure map? Is there something? that could be
There is,
put
that's
in?
further down on the list. If we go, as we go down the list, there's something about that.
Farmers market.
Oh, do we still have some of those
I
brochures
don't-
that
I
are
don't.
physically available? About how many do we have? Do you know?
I don't know.
I mean, 20,
Not that
100?
many, but
This is standard. I mean, when we have a table, we have the brochures. We don't need to go into these details right now. Yeah, we have those. Okay. And I just want to add one thing. I'm going to reach out. Cal Flora is going to do, I got this from Megan, plant excursions in that month. And I will see if at least we can, I mean, we're not going to be on those hikes, but to make them public, to publicize when they are happening. I can easily do that if it works. It's Cal Flora plant excursions. And then the only other thing I was thinking while you're speaking, Judy, we have Eliza on the phone, and Eliza is a good writer. She writes really good articles. So maybe is she still there?
Yeah,
Eliza?
I'm here. Yeah.
Because that's something you can do remotely with Judy. You could help.
Yeah, I was about to volunteer to do exactly that. If there's anything I can help for Native Plant Month, I'm happy to write stuff or make brochures or whatever is helpful.
Perfect.
Thanks, Eliza. So that going down then from the, there's a list of sort of weekly suggestions so that we could make a post once a week and with a list of a different topic each week.
Yeah.
And so you and I can work on that, Liza. Very good.
Perfect.
All right, that sounds great.
All right. Is that it? Any questions?
What I'd like to do then is go real quickly through the lists themselves. The weekly suggestion list, is there anything on there that people think you'd like to see us do instead of those things? And if not, moving on, we talked about the walks already. Adults, are some of them a family walk, some of them as opposed to all adult walks, or have you? And this is where I thought we have that brochure that we might push, sort of a self-guided wildflower walk through the town center using that brochure. Although the town center is looking pretty crappy these days. So those wildflowers are not,
It's beautiful brochure. We have very few left. Or
doesn't match.
we can just print some more.
oh, do you have the master?
Yeah.
Oh, if you have the master, fine. Because we have one brochure, we don't have the master, so we can't do anything.
No, I
Okay.
knew that we could print more. That wasn't, we talked about that already. You said we could come plenty. The issue is more, if you take that gorgeous brochure and walk around the not gorgeous town center, do we want to be encouraging that? Because, a lot of time and money's gone into, and Darcy, so this is significant going into doing that. And I don't know, we were sort of going through and rehabbing those one or two beds per year for a while. And we've sort of dropped that off the list as money got tighter, but
I agree with you. I wouldn't send people into the town center and with the brochure, but maybe we could talk with the brochure and say that is what is possible in your yard if you plant those.
So maybe we'll just talk at the tables. We'll have it at the tables. Okay, so we'll cross that off. And then publicizing other local wildflower walks. This is where you talked about the Cal Flora thing. Do we know if there are plans at Huddart?
Oh, and I actually,
You can
I
just
was
feed
going
me
to say,
with
I'm going to
me the
reach out
info.
to the Friends of Huddart. If I find a docent, then I think we probably could do one walk in.
Or we don't have to do it. What I'm thinking down in this part is other people are doing things. Can we publicize them so that we're
Yeah.
getting out just the general idea of A, that we're connected with this larger region, and B, that if they can't make our walk, they could go to the Huddart Walk, or they could go to the Rastradero Walk, that
Yeah.
sort of thing. So,
But I can only bring it up at the next board meeting, and that is mid-March.
okay.
There's not a
okay.
lot, but I'll try.
Which
I'll
you
try.
can.
If I find a docent, we can.
So now I went down to publicizing other things. So that's where I have the Woodside Native Plant Sale, Woodside's Earth Day, which I think is happening this year. Dieter, you mentioned Hidden Villa has a plant sale. Dieter?
Yeah,
You
he
s-
just
you
said.
started this, you started to make suggestions and I didn't write them down at the time because I wasn't at the right place.
It's CNVS,
Hidden Villa
at
and
Hidden Villa and also Grassroots.
I have Grassroots Ecology events on here. Grassroots, do they actually have a native plant sale day?
I don't
Or
know,
they have that
maybe
nursery?
Probably like in a month from now or so.
They usually,
They have particularly CNP has a very large selection of natives. I mean.
At
many
Hidden
of-
Villa.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Grassroots is
But
also usually at Hidden Villa with, yes.
at the same
Same
time.
time.
Okay, okay. All right, and then this youth contest, I think we decided we weren't going to do any of that. And the library, I'm continuing to sort of try to flesh out things they might do that people would run across that were not even, that weren't even publicized by us, but because they're being done there, people that don't look at the forum, et cetera, do go to the library. Okay, anything anyone wants to add?
You're aware of the lead time in the almanac?
Yes,
Okay.
Could I say something?
Please
please.
do.
So, for the walks at Jasper Ridge, I mean, it would be great if you could organize it for a different date than April 1st, for the ones that are already organized, because right now there's 30 people planning to go, and all of those particular walks are all starting from Escobar, and Escobar is a pretty tight area for parking and whatnot. And so I don't think it can accommodate more. I mean, they've asked for people to carpool, but even if you have 20 cars, it's going to be pretty tight there. So
Yeah, Rebecca, we are talking about different dates. It
Okay.
would be later. Absolutely. Yes. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, I'm
Okay.
done then.
Thank you. And then the next item is Chris was going to quickly talk about his Google Drive.
Yeah,
To
well-
keep it simple.
I'm going to try to keep it really quick. I also have a handout that didn't make the agenda. For people online, if it didn't get posted, you can go to a copy at portolavalley.cc digital archive.
Thank you.
Thank you.
how do you spell that?
Which part? Digital archive?
I'll text it to you.
Okay.
Post in the comments, yeah. Just Portola Valley CC digital archive, all one word.
And that's where? This is a website?
Yeah, it's just my file. I came in late, so I just wanted it so everyone could see it. Are you able to see it?
I'm not sure where I'm supposed to do this.
It's just put it into a URL browser. So
Oh,
Just-
great.
yeah, if you just type portolavalley.cc/digital archive, like you're going to a website, it'll just pull up this page.
I found it. I can put it in the chat.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So hopefully this will be pretty quick. It's not anything earth shattering. Everybody knows that I probably as the new person or one of the new people have been hitting my head against trying to find stuff for the last couple months. Case in point of like the brochure Nona just brought up, we have probably more domain expertise than any other committee in Portola Valley. We've generated so much fantastic content, and a lot of it is on the town website, which if you've got quite a bit of time and patience, you can probably track down eventually if you know what you're looking for. But it would be fantastic, I thought, just as a starting point, to really have that accessible by everybody on the committee so that if you're designing a new brochure, if you're trying to pull some other things together, you could use that as a template. It'd be so much quicker. So I suggested, and some folks come over and help think it through, that we just move this content onto their Google Drive. I've sort of outlined the considerations that have been brought up. The real goal is just like preserving the institutional memory, to make onboarding easier, just accelerate it whenever we're trying to do anything. The thing we obviously have to be mindful of is the Brown Act. And so we'll go ahead and disable everything around collaboration, any of those things that might cause more people to be talking about a document as opposed to using it as a repository where you can get something and use it. So everything would be read-only. We can, of course, create other subdirectories for everybody that for subcommittees where you could have more of that functionality. The general idea of it basically is when we have it there, we'll probably have 2 accounts on it. that way, if anything happens to one person, we still have somebody who can get to it, and everybody else will use their own accounts just for cost reasons. But this isn't going to cost the town anything as we kind of pilot it. It's a bit of a prototype just to make sure everybody can do it. The things that I'm looking for permission to do in terms of next steps is basically to set it up, which will take me very little time. Get 3 volunteer folks who kind of test it with. Hopefully one of them has a substantial amount of content. Maybe you, Marianne. And then finally, I'll sign up for writing just the tutorials of how it all works for anybody who doesn't know. If you already use Google Drive, there's very little tutorial necessary. You can access it via the web, or you can access it via your own hard drive, just like it's on your computer. It's very straightforward. And with that, I'll go ahead and let you guys raise some concerns or questions you may have.
Okay, any questions? Otherwise, I will start with my question because you figured it out. So we already have a Google Drive. Why would we not use that one?
Potentially we could. I mean, I've been asking for a while and nobody's pointed me to that Google Drive. So
I will have to point you, to be honest, I don't know much about Google Drive, but that one is there and we can offline. There is a lot of stuff there up to 2024. The 2025 stuff is on my computer, but I was just thinking, why don't we use that drive? And the chair has the, whatever you call it, permission, and then, you know, we can work whatever else do you want to do, and the subcommittee documents, which should only be accessible by the subcommittee, because unless it comes to the committee.
So we could. I'd have to look at it. If it's a personal one, it may not have enough storage potentially.
Aha.
And then there's some other.
Okay.
And you can have 2 people, which really is kind of a best practice. And so the more technical part for anybody who cares behind the scenes is basically this enables us to, if somebody joins the committee, just to add their account to it so they can see all the content with all of extra stuff. If they leave, we can remove it. It's not to keep things secret. It's just to keep things kind of controlled. Obviously that content can be gotten to. So that'd be the only reason why, is if it's a personal drive, then really you can't set it up that way and it may not have enough space.
Okay, we'll look at it.
Yeah.
You are the expert.
Yeah, I
We'll
mean,
look.
at the end of the day, that part really doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Okay. Any other questions?
I think Rebecca has one.
Is this material going to be available to the public, or is it just for the committee business?
This would be for the committee. Obviously, I mean, I think California law, if the public wanted anything, they could ask for it. It's not secret. It's just, it wouldn't have any context. So unlike, you know, the town's website or something, if you just kind of jumped in there and rummaged around, it would just be a lot of stuff, right?
But would put that
No.
URL out publicly or not?
This would not be public. This would be it'd be a working directory for the committee, so that, like, as I joined, that I could have, instead of harassing everybody for the last 2 months, I could have just jumped on there and seen all the content we had and kind of got up to speed.
So Rebecca, it's at the moment, for example, you know, we have all these files and they're sitting on my computer, which is sort of not very practical. So if it can sit on a shared drive, then the next chair, you know, can say, or whoever, this is our repository. It's just the next step of technology. I think that's what Chris is suggesting.
I think,
And it's
Rebecca,
definitely not public. It is not public.
it's meant to be an archive of all our work.
Yeah.
Everything that we're proposing drawing across to it, as I understand, is stuff that it's not only been approved by us, but it's in the public record. It's somewhere on your friggin' website, but nobody can find it. When you go to, you know, the town website is nearly useless in terms of searching for things and finding them, and they're in weird places. And I went
Right.
searching to try to find the recordings of our meetings. And you can put recordings of, you know, you get 100 answers, and nowhere does it direct you to the recordings of the minutes of any of the committees, much less ours. The council you can find, but nowhere else. They do exist, but nowhere is there a guide to them. And finally, I asked Marianne, and Marianne had to go to the staff and ask the staff, and it turns out they're on some YouTube thing. But
And
At the
it's in the
begin-
newsletter.
and In what newsletter?
So so I was talking with staff and they are it's a YouTube channel and they are publishing it in the newsletter. And somewhere else, I forgot
But
now.
then, but you have to go
And-
searching and it doesn't come up.
But what I suggested is if they consider linking it to the committees where the minutes are. So I think this is going to happen.
Or just putting a sentence in each committee's place where you go looking for the agendas that says, for recordings, go to YouTube.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, they,
At any rate, that's just an example. We don't need to solve that problem here now. The point is, we need some sort of an organized place to be able to look back. How, where was that tree permit, we did something in 1950 that I can't remember, and you should be able to find it, and you can't right now.
Well,
Even
that-
those of us who did the work can't find it
yeah, those.
unless
those
it's on
things-
our own computer.
Those things are in the archives. They're not on the website. You have to go into the municipal archives. So you have to search under document archives, under government, for those sorts of documents. I mean, I agree that it's great that you're considering having your own thing for your committee. I have no problem with that. I just want to say that some of this information, that yes, the search engine on the website is terrible, but if you're looking for documents that have gone through ASCC or PC or the town council, it's easier to go to the government, under government tab, the document archives, to search for those things.
And how is one supposed to know that?
But that's not
Yeah.
what we're after. That's
Right.
not what we're after. We are looking only at the Conservation Committee produced documents. That's what we're talking about, nothing
and-
else.
And in fairness, I mean, I would include potentially like research and things like that too. It's just anything that is useful for us to do our work. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel every time or track down via telephone who actually has the document. That's it. It's pretty straightforward.
I think it sounds amazing and I can't wait until we have access. It does make me a little bit nervous having working files that aren't approved and.
We don't have, so you don't have to put anything on. We're not like requiring it's just,
No, I'm just thinking, so if we have an active subcommittee that's something, I think you said we would
Yeah.
have an isolated subcommittee folder that only the people have access to, and then we could move the finished product once it's approved
That's
into
right.
the shared file, which sounds great. It also sounds like room for error. So maybe we just want to consider whether working files stay off and only the finished product and the working file that produced it would be helpful, because there are times when we want to be able to pull pieces from something, create a new document. and I
that
think
makes
that'd
sense.
be-
And one of the reasons when I kind of pilot it with a few people is to both work out the issues of access and also things like that, where we're like, hey, maybe we need a few policies of just like, these are the kinds of things we keep, these are what we don't keep. It'll evolve over time. It always does.
I think we should put aside for now the issue of subcommittees and working documents
Sure.
and focus on the primary thing of creating this archive that not only will have everything in it, but will have it there in an organized fashion, in a findable fashion. Will it be searchable?
Yeah.
In a searchable fashion? I mean, it would just, it's long overdue. And I think it's great. And I think the whole idea of figuring out how to do the working documents is really important, but I'd like to see this be approved and get off the ground and get started, and then we can do that next, sort of.
We don't need to approve anything today because it's
There's
going to come
no-
up on next month
There's
anyway.
no reason not to. This is.
Well, I actually, Nona has a question, then I have a question. Nona, go ahead.
I have two comments really. One is, I think that there should be some really clear conventions on file names. That's, and
Okay,
file
we'll check.
structure.
Sure.
That's my main concern is you can't find something unless that's the right name. The second thing is, this would be great timing because, for me, because I was helping Marge DeStabler clear out all of her files. And I have a couple of banker's boxes of really old committee minutes and documents that are really great. I've only started going through them, but if we could scan everybody's old documents too, that would be really
I'd sign
great.
up for digitizing people's stuff if they can't.
The one question I have, which I'm not complete, the $800 you mentioned in this, does that,
That's not this.
that's not, okay, that's what I,
Yeah, this is a baby step.
Okay,
But
and-
hopefully it's a long road.
and this is a drive in the cloud or a drive on your business computer?
So it's a drive in the cloud. So Google stores the stuff in the cloud. And so you can access it via a web page. However, they have something you can install on your computer that makes it look like it's on your computer.
Okay.
So they're both possible.
Okay.
But the actual content does live in the cloud.
And I definitely need, and we'll do this offline, an introduction to how to use a Google Drive.
Absolutely. I'm happy to spend time with anyone who needs it.
Okay, so then, do we need a motion? I mean,
I would like to get this off and rolling. I
then
think it's
make a
an
motion.
amazing
Call it what
thing.
you want to call it.
If no one else has any concerns or a reason we should delay it, I'd like to make a motion that we approve this as outlined in Chris's presentation and have Chris go ahead and start to set this up. And Chris, you can choose the subcommittee of people to work with you maybe. And let's get rolling. It's fabulous. And lots of us have stuff.
We all have stuff, particularly I don't. Okay, then I'll second it. Any other discussion?
I have a question. Who is going to do the research to find all of this stuff? Whatever comes up now, we know we have it maybe 5 years back, 10 years back. But before, there is tons and tons of stuff which is already someplace on some computer in some storage. And before that, we had tons and tons and tons of hard copies. Remember, a few years ago, I wrote it was basically a literature search, but I wrote a little paper on the oak moss. It came up they're not always the same, but it came up what kind of insecticides to use and what have you, and which is absolutely the wrong approach. The oak and the moss have evolved together. They get along, and after you've had a major infection, the tree afterwards leaves out again in mid-year and looks healthier than it has in years before. So anyway, we tried hard, we couldn't find it, but it's out there somewhere.
Okay,
I think,
Okay.
I don't
I'll
think the
sign up for
goal, well, first we should vote.
yeah, so there was a second, so all in favor,
Aye.
motion carries.
So can I just say, I don't think our goal is capital P perfection and get everything that the committee's ever done in this drive. I think we'll do what we can, and that everybody, for example, if you still had that in written form somewhere, you would say, oh, I've got that, and you would bring it to Chris. If you don't have it, then it's lost probably,
Yeah.
or you could go searching. But no one is going to have the
Willing to
job.
help if you need help.
Yeah, no one is going to have the job of finding everything.
As you know, I go back to the 60s. And I used, being a hard copy man, I used to have stacks. And they were all nicely in my garage in a cabinet. And finally, I overloaded. I got some flack at home, cleaned this out, and I pitched most of it.
Okay, yeah, but baby steps, that is not something we have to decide today. We'll start with what we've got, what I have, what matched the Stabler. I'm getting access at Easter to her computer through her son. We can put it on a drive directly. So yeah, we'll just do that and then we will see.
And
And
you
how-
keep
Yes.
track of these missing documents, just, have a little line item saying, silk moths or whatever. Just a line item, and then maybe the document will show up, or maybe Nancy Lund has it in her archive. It's a future thing, you
Yeah.
start
Yeah.
for older stuff.
Yeah, okay, moving rapidly along. Okay, thank you, Chris, for that. And then, because I'm just looking at the time, I have to make a correction. The 270 Willowbrook was just mislabeled by the town. It wasn't a review, that was it. And it was a sick tree and it has been removed. And with that, the next regular meeting is on April 6th. Anybody who knows already who cannot be there? You cannot, okay, all right.
So I have a quick question before we leave. Are we or are we not having a broom pull?
Yeah, so
And how-
all I can tell you, we are, yeah, I don't know what happened. Maybe-
I actually sent
We
her a
are-
text and asked her. to
We
come back.
have a broom bull. All I know is that Teresa reached out to the Boy Scouts and that my last information, they were coming. I sent Teresa addresses and she looked at them as well. So we have the addresses where we're going. Although she was going to prioritize them and I don't know.
So I wasn't thinking of that so much as, what all the rest of us are supposed to be doing. Was she gonna?
I don't know what
ask
she's
her anything like
planning.
that? So she's basically doing it on her own. I had agreed to sort of be, the pit boss organizer guy
Yeah,
on the
I don't
steps,
know.
but other than that, okay.
Who will be able to be at the Bloom Poll on the 15th? 15th? Sunday, 9 to noon.
Dieter? Okay.
I'm
Dieter, Judy, me.
And Teresa. And I'll give Teresa the key. I know she dropped off the banner so that,
Yeah, we don't need to do it
Okay.
all now. I just
Okay.
wanted to make sure that
so we know several people will be there.
missing, yeah, okay.
Okay. But thank you for bringing that up, yeah, because we didn't. And hopefully it's not a rainy day, and we'll see, whatever happens. Okay, then we will adjourn the meeting. Thank you very much.